What up, family? It's Ryan Madden here. Wanted to shoot a video real quick. Saw an excellent question commented on Facebook from someone in my mentorship, my real estate mentorship, asking what security cameras are out there that are decent that don't require Wi-Fi to put on like a rental property. Shot a response to that person, but figured it would make a good video. For those of you that don't know my backstory, I've been in construction since 2009, in and out amongst many other things. Stepped off and did police work there for a bit. So I am now tackling properties myself. Most recent one I just did, I had really good feedback that I wanted to, give that to you guys to try to provide value to you to learn from my mistakes and what have you. So to jump right into this, security cameras without Wi-Fi. I understand why that question was asked. Everything I speak from here on is just gonna be from my story from my property in New Jersey here I'm talking about. First thing I'm thinking about with everything going on as soon as I acquired this property was not getting Comcast or Verizon set up. These are our two main providers here. That was like last on my list. However, I knew from my history, especially working construction with the dumpsters, and I knew I needed a can out front, is that people always dump stuff in your can, in your dumpster, as well as like tools being stolen. And that's a real consideration too, especially when you first take over a house. A lot of times it's not buttoned up the best of ways. Your doors are busted. If it's a pre-foreclosure or just something that's neglected like that, doors are busted up, and it's very easy to get inside. Not so much a problem in the very beginning stages, but once you get going with renovation, you have tools in there. And just insurance and liability purposes, you don't want squatters or people going in and hurting themselves and suing you, because we live in that type of world. So in a nutshell, the first thing I did with this property, and this is what I'm going to continue to do for the rest of my career in this, is immediately get a Ring camera and put it up. It doesn't have to be Ring. I'm just telling you, again, these are my stats with my story. I have Ring on my personal home, so I already pay a subscription fee. I think it's like $9 a month, which is a joke. Every Black Friday, I'd like to buy a box of Ring cameras, whether it be doorbells and the Ring camera that has the spotlights on it. They're like $30 off a unit on Black Friday. It sucks, but buy once, cry once. You're going to use them. I know I'm going to buy more properties, so I'll just buy a big box, like 5 and 5, and I'll keep them on standby, pick at them as I need them. One of the first things I'll do, the first thing I did with this property, amongst all the other things going on, is throw up a camera. Why? Security, and it just helps throughout the whole renovation process. I love the psychological play in things, and it's very interesting to me, and I get why that like sellers may think that they're still okay to come back to their property. I mean, this has been these people's homes for as long as they can remember, and even though close of escrow hits and technically title is in your name, they're not going to stop coming on the property and legitimately in the property and using facilities, and like it still doesn't register for them. And I get it. I totally get it. But I would still like to know that, again, for insurance purposes. And you get the utility switch in your name. You want to know if somebody's there using it. Oftentimes, I don't care. It's not a problem. I build specific types of relationships with my sellers. So it's not like I'm calling the cops on them, but you'd like to know. First thing I do is put up a camera. I go big and I go Ring because it's nice. In my mind, I'm retaining value. Regardless of my exit, that's going to be a benefit to me having that out there. And then all through the process, it paid for itself, which I'm going to explain why. Getting back to the getting service out there to do it. You could pay the whole setup costs and do all this stuff and get the main provider to come out and run a landline out there, and then you're going to be paying the $80 or $90 or $100 per month during renovation. I wasn't interested in that. I wanted a quick temporary fix. I'm not looking to stream anything while I'm out there. I don't need the biggest, best, most badass setup. I just need a basic service so I can run this camera. Because a lot of the cameras, like posted in this comment or this question, a lot of the cameras that don't have Wi-Fi, I found to be very expensive and tricky. And then you got to have a storage unit on site, like some sort of solid state hard drive with over a terabyte of storage, so you can actually store the past 2 or 3 days, and you're constantly checking up on it. That's why I like Ring, because it's all on the cloud. It has its pros and its cons, but for this situation, maybe not so much for my primary do I prefer it, but for this situation for rental, I like just being able to pull it up, everything stored on the cloud. For that low buy-in too, you can't argue that. So the way I got service out there from a lot of research, which is where I'm trying to bring you value to save you guys the hours of research, is to hit up one of your service providers for your cell phone. So we used, my wife and my kids and I, we have T-Mobile, and they have a gate. I think it's called a gateway, but it's essentially a box. It looks exactly like this one here. This is Verizon. This is a Wi-Fi extender for my primary home that I'm not using at the moment. But it's essentially this plastic box with a plug. It doesn't need a hard wire coming into your house. You just plug it into a power outlet, and it essentially acts as a cell phone. So we went in and talked about our existing plan. We added this to a separate plan, a business plan, so I could use it for tax write-offs too. Is another benefit there, that it's all, you can write it all off. It's essentially, it comes as another phone line. Like, it has a phone line. If you look on my account, it has another phone number, but it's just that, and that's receiving signals like your phone would, and your cell phone in your pocket. It receives signals. You plug it into the house to power it, and it receives signals, which is kind of, it depends on the area, but it was kind of shitty. But again, I'm not streaming stuff. It was just for the security cameras, and a deadbolt, electronic deadbolt, which I'm going to touch on here in a minute, which is another thing I would definitely recommend. This is like my prime setup, first thing you do for rental properties, and it's just going to make your life easier throughout the whole renovation process until your exit. So you got that, you plug it in, it takes the signal, and then when you show up to the house, just like anything else, you open up your phone, pull up the Wi-Fi, it's there, it's discoverable, and then you connect to it with the password you set up. So I have that for T-Mobile specifically. I remember it was $40 a month, and then they took it down to $30 if you signed up for auto pay and all the other, happy horse shit they got going on. But so it was $30 a month plus the $9 or so a month for the ring. So you're talking conservative, let's just say $45-50 a month. It's half what it would have been to have a landline. So it is what it is. I think that was totally worth it. Reason being, the ring picks up whatever you set on it. So motion or people, like specifically, not just motion, but it'll actually pick up people, like bodies. So it's not getting set off every time a cat walks by. This served me well already. Once on this one job, I had a guy snooping through my dumpster, not dumping illegally, but just looking to get stuff out of it. It was no big deal. I wasn't able to be there, and just to confirm what he was doing, I was able to do it remotely, see it, got the notification, called the township police department, and had him go over and respond. Nothing came of that. It was all good. He was just kind of, I guess, curious, but it was nice to have. Which brings me to the electronic deadbolt. Doesn't really matter who you use. I've only ever used Quickset, and I like their software or their setup, but electronic deadbolt, use them for rentals all the time, especially in the construction side of things, like just getting in and having contractors go in. The electronic part was nice because it also needs Wi-Fi, so you're already piggybacking off of that service that you're paying for. It costs no money, no monthly subscription. You just buy the unit, you download the software, and you can use it as it is. With that, it was extremely helpful. So when you're dealing with subcontractors and constantly going back and forth, this property was very close to my house, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But there were times either I was running late or they got there early and they hit me up and said, hey, I'm here. I would then say, okay, here, I'm going to shoot you the code. Or even if they didn't hit me up, I would see them. The camera notification would let me know from Ring, and then I would just immediately go right to the Quickset app and then hit unlock on my phone, and it would do it all electronically and take care of that. So that saved my ass a lot of embarrassment, a lot of time. I was already going there anyway, or it was subcontractors already knew and trusted, and there was no reason for me to be there. Why am I going to drive all the way over there? Could have just gave them the code, yes, and there's also an auto generator for the code that makes like a miscellaneous code. You can do this all through the app. It's sweet. And it just generates a randomized code, and you can set a brand new code. It'll give you like 1, 2, 3, 4 is the code, and make it valid just for this weekend or just for 72 hours. Or make a separate code just for Ryan Madden, and this is his. And then when Ryan Madden comes in and uses his code that's always valid, it documents when he comes in, when it was unlocked, when it was locked from him. So it's like, it's crazy. And like the camera, where I say there's going to be a resale value that you can let go of it with the house depending upon your exit strategy, it's also beneficial in the fact that it's like, if you hang on to it and rent it, like, that's very usable for renters, generating that randomized code, whether it be long-term or short-term. Long-term, obviously, you can't be documenting that stuff. You got to, turn it over to them, which is fine, and just delete your account from that unit. But short-term rentals, coming in, there for check-in. You don't got to be there. You don't have to go after or have the cleaners reset a code and do some goofy electronics that they don't do every day. You just do it through your phone. Even with the camera, I know with short term, you're allowed to have one camera in the front of the house, whether it be a doorbell or a front facing camera towards the street. You can't have any inside the house, any in the backyard for like privacy reasons. So it's not like you have to take that camera down. You buy once, cry once, get it on a sale, put it up. It serves you throughout the duration of the renovation, and then it continues to add value regardless of your exit. If you sell, it's desirable. You have a camera, a notable brand Ring camera in the front, like people are going to like that. You rent, you're still going to use the camera. It's still going to be useful. Property damage, stuff like that. Vacancies, you got eyes on the place when you're not there, especially if you're farther away from it. So just wanted to touch on that. I hope this brings you some value. That was my mindset now. Any property I get from here on out, very first thing is going to be temporary Wi-Fi set up for $40 a month. You can get a contractor to set this up. Just call T-Mobile or something. I don't know if they'll let you do that over the phone because you are setting up a service. They may allow you to add to an existing service, or you just got to go deal with it. Go out and deal with it. But get that set up. It's like $40 a month. You leave it in the house. You plug it into a power source in the wall. You don't need any other wires. And then get your camera hooked up and get an electronic deadbolt. Those are the definite musts for me, just to make life so much easier. And then it's the gift that keeps on giving, even way after renovation, depending upon your exit. If it's long-term hold, if you're going to put it in a portfolio, or any type of sale. That's all I got. I hope this brings you guys value. If I didn't touch on anything too deep with that, like if you want some more explanation, I'm always available. Shoot me a follow-up request, and we'll set it up to talk. But that's all I got. Start with heart.